you guys are supposed to go, yes, girl, I'll brave the wind and the sleet and the snow to come on out here. How's everybody doing? Good?
It's so many of you. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and braving. Hi, Win. How are you? Thank you guys so much for coming out and braving the crazy weather. We are going to have some fun tonight. We are going to turn up. People thought that the Strand was a bookstore, but it's a club up in here. First off, my mom and I, we'll talk about why we wrote this book, Perfect is Boring. And the reason why is my mom and I, we have like a very unique and interesting relationship. We're like buddies, but at the same time, not buddies where she doesn't still cuss me out. She will cuss me out and tell me to get my butt up and wash them damn dishes, sit your ass down, or whatever it is. But it's very unique and it's very special. And so many people come up to us and they're like, gosh, I wish that I had a relationship like that with my mom or my dad or my son or my daughter. And we were like, you know what, Mama, they wish it, and why don't we just put it in a book how they can do it? Mm-hmm. So this is like a cookbook, like a recipe for how to have like taboo topic conversations with the people in our lives that we love, and to pull down those barriers and those things that make us blush that we feel like we can't talk about with our parents or our kids. Anything you want to say about anything with that, Mama?
I'm so excited. I'm not used to being on this end of everything. I've mostly been behind the scenes for her. I had her back. I managed her career for the first 7 years, and I pushed her until she became this amazing.
My mama was like the Kris Jenner of the 90s. She was. In fact, we talk about it in the book, which you guys are going to read, but we talk about it in the book that like she was doing so good with my career that my agent asked her to manage other models.
Yeah.
And yeah, like she could have had like a whole fleet, a whole SWAT team of America's Next Top Runway and cover models back in the day, but she turned it down.
Yeah.
She turned it down.
This was enough.
This was enough. But I want to talk to you guys. First, I want to tell a story, and you guys have probably heard the story before. But it was a really pivotal moment in my life and in my career. So I was like the new it girl back in the day, like, you know, just call me Tyra Hadid. Just imagine that, you know, like that type of hype, you know, back in the day. And this was even before social media. And I was on every runway and covers of magazines and all this type of stuff. But one day, my agency in Italy called my mother, and they called her into the office, and they said, Donna Bella Carolina, your daughter, and my accents always go Jamaican, so it's gonna go there. Your daughter, she cannot do the fashion show. 8 designers say they don't want her anymore. And my mom's like, why?
Why? What's going on?
And I love that we're acting. Do it again, Mom.
Why? What's going on?
Well, her butt is too big, it's grosso, and they don't want her. 8 designer, season before 4 designer, season before 2 designer, so next season 16 designer. Not gonna want her.
Her hips, her bosom is too big.
Her bosom. So my mom brought this information to me, and first I want to show you, before I tell you what happened, I want to show you what I looked like when I first started modeling and when I was a high fashion model. So this is what I looked like in the beginning. Super skinny arms. Look at pause on that one. Look at, my arms are so skinny, my legs are like twigs. Here's another one. That was me doing Marc Jacobs in New York, very thin, and this is another one. So a little bit of boobie started to pop out, but still very thin. Okay, and so then this is what he said was grosso and big. That was fat, that was too chunky, that was too thick, And that was, oh Lord, somebody put her on a diet. And my mother told me what he said. She said, Tyra, here's the list of designers, and you're not gonna be able to do these. And he says, every year it's gonna be worse. I start crying. You know, I had given up college. I put college aside to model. And I was just like, well, Mama, I guess I will, you know, eat once a day. I don't know. I'll work out 2 times a day, 3 times a day. I don't know what to do. I was like, Mama, what should I do? And she said, you know what we're gonna do?
We're gonna go get pizza.
Yes. So, in that pizzeria on Corso Magenta in Milano, Italy, during Fashion Week, when I should have been doing some fashion shows, but I had a bunch of fashion no's, we charted a path for me on the butcher paper, on that table. And my mother said, we didn't rehearse this, but this is fun. What did you tell me to do?
I told you to sit there and think of every client that appreciates the way you're built.
I love how she said the way I built. She said it with an A word. That appreciates your
ass.
Your
ass.
My ass. And so I was like, Victoria's Secret? And she's like, write it down.
Write it down.
I was like, Sports Illustrated? She's like, write it down. And then she told me to write down models that have asses. And I was like, Cindy Crawford, write it down. I was like, well, Claudia Schiffer kind of got some booty in the ass. Write it down. And so we analyzed that, and I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? And she goes, those are the jobs that you're going to get like those girls, and those are your future clients. And I was like, what? And we took that list, and I was like, okay, Mommy, are you gonna call my agents? You're gonna call my agents, right? And you're gonna tell them. You're gonna tell them that this is what we need to do, and this is the path that I need to follow. And she was like, I'm gonna call them. So she picked up the phone. This is later in New York. She picked up the phone.
I dialed that number, and when they answered, I threw the phone in her lap and walked out of the room. Because it was time for her to take her career into her own hands.
And what's so crazy is during this time, I thought my mom was being a coward. I thought she was scared to face the agency and tell them, you know, that things needed to change. But of course, it's obvious to us in the room what she was doing. She was kicking my butt out the nest, you know? And I was like, ooh, flying. And then cut to, I'm not gonna do my whole thing. You guys know all the firsts and all the things that I did. And it was based on that pizza butcher paper. And so I tell all of you guys, we all have dreams and we all have goals. And sometimes it's not necessarily about saying, oh, I can't do that anymore because there's doors slamming in your face. Sometimes it's about finding a different audience, a different job, a different people that can appreciate what you have. It's not always about changing what you have. It's about finding the audience or the job or the place that can appreciate that. And I don't know if anybody has experienced anything like that. Have you? Yeah. Where it's like, okay, and it could be a man or a woman, right? Like, oh, you think I'm crazy. Well, this is good crazy, and I'm gonna find somebody that loves this crazy. It could be even in personal lives, too. Can I get an amen? Amen. Yeah. Can I get a smize with my eyes? All right, so I promised tonight that we were gonna be doing some smizing and some photo shoot teaching and some selfie loving, so we're gonna get to that. But I'm gonna tell you and share with you why I am an expert at modeling and posing and light and photography and tie-overs. I can look at like 5 people right now and say, too short, too long, shave it off, cut it off, da-da-da, da-da-da, weave it up, afro it up. Like, I'm looking at you guys right now. Exactly, I'm like a DJ, weave it up, cut it up, afro it up. Like, but that came from somewhere, and it came from this woman. Yes, this woman. My mother was a medical photographer. Yeah. Tell them what you used to photograph, Mama.
I did medical photography for medical textbooks and continuing medical education. So my subject matter was usually anatomical dissections, autopsies, photomicroscopy, which is photography through the microscope, surgical procedures before and after reconstructive surgery. And
Tell him about the time where you had to lay on a dead man's body on top of him to get the best shot inside of his mouth. And he didn't have any arms or legs, and he was freezing cold.
well, let me
He
explain.
was dead.
When you donate your body to science, unless you specify, you can end up all over town. And
Everybody's face
we
was
got
like,
his torso and head. And the doctor wanted to document a new procedure for surgery on the spine just behind your neck, but his approach was through the mouth. And we had to, he got in front of me on a tall stool and leaned down. He had a microscopic viewing glasses, and I had to lie down on the torso. The man was frozen, he was. And I had to lie down on top of him, and the doctor...
oh my God, I'm sorry, doesn't this sound like kind of
And I put our
freaky right
heads
now?
together, and I was able to photograph in the mouth while he did the procedure.
So that's just one of the things that my mom did as a medical photographer. But on the side and after work, they would take that photo studio that was for, surgeries and autopsies and all this type
Which,
of stuff.
by the way, looked exactly like a fashion setup. It had the white backdrop, it had umbrellas, we had everything that photographers use for fashion.
Yeah, so at night, she would get crunk, turn the music up, and her friends would come over to the hospital and they'd do each other's hair and makeup, and they would do all these glamorous photos of each other. There's a picture of it in the book. I don't know what page that is, but there's a picture of my mom looking absolutely stunning and gorgeous. It'll take a while for you guys to find it, because it's not like a gutter of pictures, it's like all through it, but there's a profile shot of her like looking up like this with a feather in her hair, looking glamorous. Anyway, so they would do these photos, and they became like these experts with not just dead people, but with alive people in makeup and hair and lighting. And then cut to later, my mom changed our living room, like on the weekends, to a photo studio. And she had the backdrop, and she had it wasn't a wind machine, it was the fan that we used in the summer because it was hot. And she had her hair and makeup, and she had this amazing assistant that was this little girl that like was learning everything from her, which was me. And I would hold the light meter, I would powder their noses and like fluff their hair. All this time I'm getting this information. There were a lot of women that were super insecure, and they would tell my mom, oh, I hate my eyes, I hate my hair, I hate my forehead, I hate my chin, I hate my butt. And my mom found the beauty in them. She taught them how to either fix it or flaunt it. Like to say, actually, you hate your pointy chin, that's actually unique and interesting, perfect is boring. And I constantly hear that, perfect is boring, perfect is boring. These things are what make you interesting. And then my mom would develop the film on our washer and dryer on the back porch.
I turned the laundry room into a dark room.
Into a dark room to develop film, and I got to see this process. So years and years and years and years, that led me to Top Model. And I didn't create Top Model to have this show be about, just about models. I was using models as a vessel to talk to people that were sitting on their couches or in the beauty salon or chilling at their grandmama's house, looking at that TV and feeling insecure and not beautiful. And I would tell that girl that had alabaster, super white skin with freckles all over her body and big red frizzy hair, or a girl that was mixed and felt like I'm not black enough, I'm not white enough, or a girl that was African American and had the most beautiful ebony skin and short cropped hair, and people in her school just did not understand her beauty. I would tell those types of girls, I would cast those types of girls because I really was talking to the girl that looked like her, that had her features. And I would tell her, you're beautiful, you're this, you're amazing, every single week. So that's the reason why I created America's Next Top Model. That was what I call the vitamins, Now there's all this candy about Smize and being fierce and working the runway and all of this stuff, but there were so many vitamins in there that I learned from my mama.
And those women that I photographed were housewives. They were women who worked very hard, single moms, women who had come to me because they simply wanted a portrait, but what they didn't realize was that I was going to show them the true beauty that they possessed. And if they told me that, you know, I don't really take great photographs, and I said, well, you haven't been photographed by me. Because I'm going to show you the true beauty in you. You have beautiful eyes. Look at your skin. Look at your long neck. So many features. All of us have them. All of us have them. And I photographed those women, and I talked to them while I was photographing. I was the original Smize. Okay?
Yes, she was. Yes, she was. My mom would smize while she took their pictures, and I didn't call it smize back then, but my mom was like modeling with them. So here's the camera, and my mom would do this. So I say this is the camera. She'd be like, it's like this weird thing, and so that's where I got it from. That's where I got it from. So I want us to do some smizing today. Are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, everybody stand up. I'm sorry, sit down, because stay seated. Sorry. You don't have to stand up. Okay, and I need you to feel like there's a string at the top of your head pulling you up. Pulling you up. I need you to feel tension. I need you to squeeze your booty cheeks. Everybody squeeze your booty cheeks tight. You feel the tension that's happening? Now we're modeling H2T. The minute we squeeze our booty cheeks, our whole body is like active. Okay, now I need you to think of something that is delectable. It could be an ice cream sundae. It can be pepperoni pizza. It could be barbecued ribs.
Why is it all food?
Soup dumplings. It could be a man, it could be a woman. Something that is delectable to you, something that you want to devour. Do we have it? Do we have our food or our person? It could be some Easter egg, bunny rabbit, chocolate, hollow rabbit, chocolate thing. It could be anything. Think about that thing. Imagine that they are right in front of you. However, you are going to look through them. You are so mad at that chocolate because you want it, but it is moving away from you, and you are summoning it to you. You are squinting, you are pierced, but you are hungry. You are pissed, but you are hungry. You are pissed, but you are hungry. You want it to come to you. You're looking through the chocolate because there's chocolate at the back of the room. There's ribs at the back of the room. There are soup dumplings at the back of the room. Do you see it? Smize. Yes, yes. Novocaine lips, dead lips, eyes. Squeeze the booty, squeeze the booty. Squeeze your booties. Yes,
Oh,
yes,
they're doing it.
This just got better.
It's come
Squeeze the
hither.
booty. There you go. Okay, now I want you to smize in motion. This is a hashtag next level fierce smize. I need you to turn away from me, and on the count of 3, snap it back. 1, 2, 3, and snap. Turn away. 1, 2, 3, and snap. All right, now that's what you do when you boomerang your smize, okay? You turn away and you hit it and smile, and it'll be like this, honey. Whew. You got it? You got that? How we feel? Good. Good. Now, everyone, take out your phones. Put it on the camera mode. Camera mode. Selfie mode. Selfie mode. I want everyone to take a picture of themselves. Don't go up. Just go straight forward, straight, and take a picture like this. Just straight. Everybody do it. Make sure you save it. Everybody did it? Done? Done? Okay, I want you to look at that picture. And I can just let you know right now, every single one of them is whack. Whack. I have 200 photos in my hand, and all y'all going home with that photo. Okay? All y'all are going home. This woman taught me to find the light. No matter where it is, you find the light. For the people that are in probably the first 5 rows, the light is kind of here and slightly up, slightly up. So you're gonna take your cameras and you're gonna find the light and tilt that head back. Look how cute y'all look. Look how cute y'all look. Find the light, tilt it back, and snap that selfie now. I have 40 photos in my hands, and all of y'all are going to the next level. People in the back, mid to the back, that light is at the ceiling. I need you to lean back. Lean back. Like back like this. Back, back, back. Find it. Back. Hurt your neck. Hurt your neck. Have the person behind you support your neck while they're taking their selfie. A selfie only needs one hand. Take that picture. Find that light. It don't matter if it's dim. It's still going to be cute. I guarantee you. Find the light. All right? If your neck's got too much muscles up in it, then just crop the neck and just get the chin and up. I guarantee you it's better. Find the light no matter where it is. If that light is down low, you get on your knees. You lay down. You find that light, and your selfies will be so crazy. You'll be having so many likes you won't know what to do
You're
with it.
erasing the shadows with the light.
Yes.
Photography is painting a picture with light. And the
Yes.
more light you have, which is what all these models are basically subjected to, is light. The best light.
ever. There was a model by the name of Yasmin Gori. Now, people that know fashion in the 90s, Yasmin had the walk of life. When she would walk, it was almost like her hips would dislocate. It was like, it was just this weird thing. And then later, she was a Victoria's Secret model. And Yasmin would not let any makeup artist touch her face. She beat, what we call beat, her own face, and was amazing. But what I learned, and I never gave her credit, and I'm giving you credit right now, Yasmin, wherever you are, I learned how to do my makeup and how to find the light. No matter what fashion show we were at, we could have been in some dungeon, some alley, some back thing, or at the Louvre in Paris doing fashion shows. She found the light. And if the light were overhead and only up there, this is Yasmin doing her face.
And that is not an exaggeration. I saw her do it many times.
I laid down on my back. So just remember that. Ladies, gentlemen, when you guys are putting makeup on, find the light. If you have to, say you have a mirror at home and you still have overheads, take your compact. Do your makeup with your compact. But the light is everything. Now, for people that have muscles, who have muscles? I sure don't. Anybody got muscles? You got muscles? You got some muscles?
She got it.
Who else got some muscles? Now, if you want to show your muscles, the light is not your friend. You do not want a bunch of blasted light. You want shadows. So you want your light to be as high as possible, because then that creates the shadows on the body and makes the muscles pop. But you want the face to be cute. So body's like this, but where's that face gonna go? To the light. There we go. Do we got it? Yes. Alrighty. So I think we can move on to some questions. Do you guys have any questions? Anyone? How does it work? Okay. Okay.
Hi. I just quickly read through your Tiffany thing about how you kind of predicted that Tiffany was going to win.
I thought she was going to win.
Yes. Did you? Kind of two-parted. Do you think on any other cycle you thought someone would win? And did someone prove you wrong? Like you sent them home early, or they proved you wrong, kind of.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. We also see a totally different show than you guys see. These girls, we're taping them 24/7, so we're seeing so much, but we can't show all of that. So what happens is we might choose a winner based on all that we've seen, but didn't get to show you all of it because we don't have time. But then this other girl is killing it and working the runway in the house, and later I don't see that until we made her one, and then we're editing later. I'm like, dang, she works the runway like that? And I'm watching her do it at the pool, so it's this very complicated thing because our show is not live. And then also you just see later, so I'm in a little bit of a quandary because I don't always want to choose the most obvious model. That's easy. Oh, she models, she poses good. To me, there's so much. There's personality, there's, just that kind of that it thing. If it was just about the best model, I can just do open call and not have them talk and just say, okay, model. So it's so much more than that. So sometimes our winners don't necessarily work as much, but I sacrifice that for them as an example of what I think an interesting human being is. And it's not always the goody two-shoes, but just something that I feel is kind of a good representation of the top model brand. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going? I'm a little nervous. So what do you think the future of fashion is?
The future of fashion?
Yes.
The future of fashion. If I was a designer, I'd be scared. I mean, models today, traditional models, they are scared and they have every right to be because it's all about social media followings, right? Like, I know of a male supermodel of today that can't get work anymore because guys are getting booked off of their social media followings that aren't even signed to agencies. And so it's a whole change. And I was just I shot for W Magazine a couple of years ago, and I was talking to some of the hair and makeup people there, and they were saying that they're losing out. Hair and makeup people are losing out to people that have social media followings. But I love it because my mom, in the book, we talk about the bosses in black. Some people like to say the bitches in black. And the people that have all the power, and they just point to you and say, I like you. And I'm gonna make you a star. And then they go, okay, I don't want you to be a star anymore, and you're not gonna be a star, and I'm not gonna hire you anymore. To be at the whim of somebody like that sucks. They make you and they break you. And then, girls get, super insecure, and there's a lot of emotional issues that happen because of getting anointed and chosen. So the fact that the power is now in the people is amazing. And we're seeing diversity and so much because of that. What do you think?
One of the things that Tyra, that I tried to instill in her was the fact that the fashion industry is quite fickle. And it was one of the things where I told her to plan for the end at the beginning, that this is not going to be forever. So what is your plan? I always say, remember when I used to say, look to the other side. What's over there? This is what's happening now, but what do you want over there? And once you have made the decision of what that over there is, then you create a path there. You think beyond what is right in front of you. And that's how she survived. People ask all the time, how has she survived so long in this industry? It's because she planned for the end at the beginning. The end meaning that modeling, that the core modeling. She's taken modeling and turned it into her own personal industry and is continuing on with that.
Wait till y'all see 2019. Y'all ain't ready.
She got some stuff coming up.
Who's next?
Hi, my name is Lillian.
Wait,
right here.
Oh, hi.
I'm Lillian Daniels. Thank you so much, Tyra. Thank you so much,
Hi.
Miss London. My question for you, Tyra, is as an entrepreneur, I'm a designer, thebollybead.com, but as a designer, how would you, and a business owner more so,
Don't be laughing at her pump up. Come on, that's like what you do. How many times have you seen award shows and they're like, my album comes out August 19th? Everybody heard it. So I know there's some people that heard that and they're gonna look you up.
But how would you recommend business-wise sustaining? And
Yes.
Miss Carolyn, how would you recommend, I don't wanna say self-care, but just really keeping yourself, well? Because I know you spoke candidly of times when I was, judging, and in the back, I'd break down, and I understand, but how do you really take care of yourself so you maintain health, and how do you take care of yourself so you maintain wealth and sustenance?
Why don't you go first?
Well,
You do health, I'll do wealth.
your health?
Yeah, well, yeah, just in general. Or what you did for me, yeah.
You go first.
Yeah.
Because I had to dig deep.
You gotta think. Okay. Well, there's also mental health.
Yeah.
Yes, that counts.
That's
too.
what you, okay.
In terms of wealth and sustainability, I think it's important to do two things. One is to understand what your brand is, whether it's a personal brand or a company or a business or a product, and what that is, and stay so true to that. Just do not dilute it. However, I'm going to give you advice that is the exact opposite of that. It's important to stay nimble and understand where the world is. What is trend? What is social? What is political? And how can you pull that into your brand so that you stay relevant? The third thing is, don't be afraid to be loud and splashy. Perfect is boring, unique, quirky, interesting. Creating a conversation is amazing. It makes you stand out. It makes you break through the clutter. And there's something that I tell my students. I teach personal branding at Stanford Business School. One of the first things I tell them, Stanford peeps? Oh, yeah, hey! Oh, duh, hi, y'all! One of the things I tell, and you guys know this, I say, different is better than better. So you can say, oh, I'm a better model than her. Oh, I have a better product than that. Oh, I'm better at work than that person. But different, that's where money is. Different is when a little boy named Mark Zuckerberg came and said, I got something. It's called the Facebook. You know, that's different. He wasn't making something better. There was nothing like that. It was amazing, you know? However, there is a strategy to being second or a derivative of something. I think, what was it? I think Nike came second after Reebok, believe it or not. Just at the time, they just did it better. You know, so there is a strategy to that. I just think it's more difficult. So I always aim for different, and I aim for first.
Okay. And as far as mental, and I'll take it from the mental. Tyra's had a lot of successes, but what you guys don't know about are the failures and how she reacted to those failures. And I played a rather large role in keeping her head above water during those periods of time. She had a way of contacting me because I retired from working with her, which, by the way, I took a 6-month leave of absence to help her out, and it lasted for 20 years. So she would call me in the middle of the night, or I would be with her, and I could see what was going on, that something was eating away at her. And there were times when she told me that she just wanted to give it all up and just run away. And there were times when she felt like she was falling apart, like she couldn't focus anymore. And during those periods of time, and sometimes it was not always just work, sometimes it was personal things, relationships that she was going through. It could be a breakup, or it could be some kind of quandary that was going on in a relationship. And what I would do is I would nurture her, rub her back, let her talk, get it all out.
For days or weeks.
For whatever amount of time that it took. But once that period of time had gone on, I say it's time to stand up. Stand up. There will be a time when you will look back on this and say, remember when?
And laugh.
And you will laugh.
Yeah.
You will share what she does when she mentors people, what she does when she teaches at Stanford, is she tells them her successes and her failures. And how do we move forward in the biggest leaps? By recognizing our failures and learning and taking that knowledge and using it to catapult yourself forward. It's not always about the successes, it's about your mistakes in life. And I tell her, you take responsibility for every mistake that you make. You don't blame it on anybody else. We make choices in life. We're subjected to things sometimes that we don't have control over, but do not become a victim. And that's how she moves forward.
Did I answer your question?
It's heartbreaking to hear your experience as a mother. And actually, I'm here with my 14-year-old who's a fan of Tyra. And I guess my question is, like, with all the things going on in Hollywood, with all the women out there, and in modeling, it's rampant in that. So what would you advise to a mother who has a teenager who's interested in entering that career, which is so ripe for, as you said, don't be a victim for that, but just rise through it? I mean, what do you suggest?
You mean sexual harassment or just in general?
Yeah.
In general, just rising through it and not being a subject to that. I mean, I'm
body image and
what she did to protect you.
just in general.
Just in general, from the beginning, when she first entered, is that what you're referring to? Because she's young. Tyra started modeling actually when she was 15 years old. And I must confess, I did not want her to go into this industry. A lot of people think that I, made the choice and pushed her into this industry. I did not. She was on her way to college, and I wanted her to go to college. She just happened to have been modeling to make extra money to pay for tuition. I was a single mom. And so when we realized that that path that she was going to take was not going to be college, the one thing that I did was to let her know that the choice, whether she went to college or whether she went to Europe to model, was going to be her choice, and I would support her in whatever choice that she made. I told her, it's your life, it's not mine. When I was growing up, my parents did just the opposite. I wanted to be a professional dancer. Modern dance was my passion. But they told me, honey, you can't make a living like that. You'll be counting pennies, trying to get by, running around dancing. You need to get a job with the city. And that's what I did. And for the rest of my life, whenever I saw a dancer, there was a tug in my heart. This is all explained in the book, so I won't go into a lot of detail. But what I did, I know, that's where I'm going. What I'm leading up to is, okay, so she made the choice to go into. She wanted to do that. You want to do that. And what I told her is, if this is the choice that you have made, then you are going to go into it informed. You're not going to make pretty pictures and run around on a runway and think that there's fairy dust falling all over the place. You're starting a business, and you're the commodity. So you tell me what you know about that business. And I made her do her homework. And she studied, what's that, the Design Institute?
The fashion library
design.
in Los
She
Angeles.
went to the library, and she looked at videotapes of models on the runway. Because I said, what we used to do was every Saturday morning, we would sit down on our sofa at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we would look at Elsa Clinch. What was it, the Elsa Clinch
Yes,
House
we
of
used
Style?
to watch. We used to do runway walking, and I used to watch the models walk on the runway, and I'd put on my mom's gown and like walk back and forth
Yeah.
and like try to walk like
She
a
would
model.
put on my high heels,
Yeah.
and she would walk back and forth. Because I said, one thing that I've noticed is all of these models, they have a signature walk. What's your walk?
Because different is better than better. Now, in terms of like arming your daughter, we're in a world now that has really taken the lid off of so many negative things that happen in the fashion industry, from sexual or entertainment industry, sexual harassment, racism, just body craziness, body bullying. There's so many things. And my mom was the person that gave me the harsh truth about everything, things that made her blush. So even though my mom didn't give me the talk about there were predators in the fashion industry, because that wasn't that popular, that was going on, but we didn't really know about it, she did sit me down on a train from LA to San Diego and gave me a talk about what a boy would whisper in my ear to have sex with me. She got that graphic with me. So as I matured and I got older, and there were sex and drugs and rock and roll and all of this stuff, my mom had already talked to me about everything. And I came to her and could ask her anything. So I had that friend that was high and flying. I had that girl that was drunk and peeing on herself on the floor. And I had this one that had done every male model, as many as in this room, and was at the clinic because she didn't know what was wrong with her. You understand? But I didn't do any of that because I had that relationship with my mom where she gave me the tools to be able to see through everything and to avoid so many of those mishaps. So right now, you are her soldier. You are her general, and she is your private. And she needs to march left, right, left, what to say? Don't do that. Don't touch a drug. Da-da-da-da-da. This is this. But at the same time, it's not like yelling and, it's like being her homie and talking to her about it where she feels safe. And when something happens, if she has a photo shoot or a commercial or whatever she's doing, and there's some nasty man that's saying something to her, she's gonna feel safe enough to come to you and not her friends and tell you the truth. Or if she did something that she knows she shouldn't have did, she's not gonna run to her friend, she's gonna come to you because you're her safe place. Mm-hmm. You are her safe place and should be that.
When Tyra left home to go to Paris, she was 17 years old, but she was armed. She was armed because I worked so hard with her to prepare her for whatever. You can't cover everything, but you can cover as much as you can so that she's not this innocent, sweet little child walking into God knows what.
And the last thing I'll say is, if it makes you blush, keep talking about it. If it makes you embarrassed or uncomfortable, keep talking about it. You're her safe place. Okay?
This is our last question for the night.
Hi, I'm Dominique. Nice to meet you guys. I wanted to know, while you all were working on this book, was there anything that you all discovered about, you all's relationship, or just, kind of the aha moment? And then for you, being a first-time mom, congratulations, writing this book. Is there anything that you kind of solidified on how you want to approach raising your son?
My mom and I are so close. I'm not sure if we had really aha moments because we're really, really close. But in terms, would you say that? It wasn't like, oh my God, aha. It was more just like remembering stories. But in terms of like me being a mom, yeah, I want to be York's safe place. He asks me things now. What is his favorite thing? Mommy, what that? What that? What that? What that? What that? And I tell him exactly what it is. I don't try to sugarcoat it. I tell him the truth. I don't tell him so crazy. He's 2 years old, so I give him probably a 4-year-old explanation. But I do want to push him so that he's ready and that he's not being surprised by these things. And being a mom has totally changed me. I used to be like this crazy micromanager and would get rewarded for being a micromanager with success. Like, well, I had to do all that. I had to push the button and dial this and do that, and I'm successful, so I must keep doing this. But after having a baby, I have less time to do all these things that I want to do with work. It's because I spend so much time with him. And so now what I do is I hire great people and trust them and have them lead me. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I went to business school and did this like OPM, Owner President Management course, just so I can know a little bit about everything, but by no means am I an expert. So I have these experts around me so that I can go in and go, yeah, I can dream, as opposed to kind of like execute. And I have these amazing people that are way smarter than me, and I get to go home and be mommy.
And yes. I've seen her slow down. It means the world to me to see her slow down. Someone, today we've been on a whirlwind of a book tour. They told me to keep this right here. And yeah. And one of the interviewers asked a question of, give me one word to describe Tyra. And I thought, and I said, unstoppable. Unstoppable. But what having a child has done, which also pleases me, is that she's slowing down.
But
because
not
she's
slowing
got
down
to have
and not
a balance.
executing.
She's
Yes.
got to have a balance in work and a private, personal life.
Yeah, but I want to be very clear, Ma, and not to contradict you on the stage, but I just want to make sure that as women and as mothers, slow down can sound like you have to sacrifice your work for your child, and it is possible to do both, and it's just about being very present with where you are. So when I'm with York and I'm on my phone and I'm like, he's grabbing my phone and he gets jealous and he pulls it, and he's 2 years old, he throws it across the room, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not present present right now. Or if I'm in a meeting and he knows how to like push the phone to call me now, and I'm in the meeting going, "Hi, Google, hi, mommy. Oh, the mommy loves you. Look at what you do. I'm not being present for my team. So I realized I have to focus. And I wouldn't call it slowing down, because when you guys see the things that I'm going to be doing, it's a lot. And there's a huge, major thing that I cannot wait for you guys to experience in 2019. And I'm able to do that not by slowing down, Mama, but by prioritizing and understanding, like, I only do what I can do. Like, if somebody else can do it and do it better, I'm going to give it to them to do. And that's just a message for moms, dads, single dads out there that need to continue to fight and conquer. Because I'm still hungry. I just now understand that there's something at home that I need to get my butt home to, and I need to get out of the office by 5 or 6 o'clock.
I think you're taking my slow down in the wrong context.
Here we go. Let's go. Ding, ding.
Because in order to do what you just said, you had to slow down.
I'm debating my mother right now. Mama, I just know.
Okay, next question.
No, we're done. Well, one thing is, are we wrapping up? I do want Roy Campbell to stand up. Stand up, Roy.
Yes.
Roy is amazing. So this project actually started with Roy. Roy interviewed my mother for weeks and weeks and weeks and put her on tape and transcribed and wrote these beautiful stories of my mom's story. And that was the genesis for this project.
He covered my whole life.
And so I thank you, Roy, because I now have that. I have that forever. And we do thank you in this book, because that was a lot to do with where this came from. And Roy was the first journalist to ever write a story about me as a model when I was 17 years old. The first one. And from that article, the Philadelphia Inquirer, all the other magazines and newspapers picked it up. This new little black girl from Inglewood, California named Tyra Banks. And that's because of you, so thank you, Roy.
All right, folks, that is unfortunately all we have time for, but thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful evening. Strand is open till 10:30. One more round of applause for these wonderful women.
Thank you, guys.